Today we're going to be taking a look at the team meeting log for PLC meeting times on Wednesday afternoon, how to access this log, and at some of the tools that are available to support teams in their work during that time. To access the team meeting log, I'm going to go to Start on the task menu of my computer, and I'm going to go to Computer and select the Shared Drive option to get me to the district server. From there I want to choose School Shared and then District Shared Drive. Once I open that up, I now have a window that has 1314 collaborative teams at the top. That is the folder I want to open. And from there I have to think about where does my team best fit within the scheme of the district. If I imagine that I'm working as a 4th grade teacher, I'm going to select the PK to 5 option, and then a set of folders should open up to allow me to get more specific from that. So I'm going to open up the 4th grade folder, and once I'm in there, you can see that there are folders for each elementary school: Emerson, Irving, Whittier, and Wilder. There's also a district-wide folder which is available for when teams are meeting as an entire grade level of 11 or 12 teachers across the district. So I'm going to open up the district-wide folder. When I do that, you can see that there are some things that teams have put in here that have value for the entire grade level as a district. I'm going to go into the folder that says Logs, because this is where team meeting logs are kept. Now you can see that there are several team meeting logs from throughout the course of last year and early this spring, where teams have kept track of the work that they've done, any questions that they've had, and any resources that they might need for upcoming meetings. I'm going to go to the blank template form right here, which says Collaborative Team Meeting Template. Now when I do that, it opens up a form electronically that I can use with my team. So let's take a moment to look at some of the features of this particular tool. I'm able to change the date by clicking on the drop-down arrow beside the date, and if I want today's date, I can simply click Today, and the computer should automatically select the date for today. For the building, if I choose where it says Select, I should be able to choose which building it is that is meeting as a particular where this meeting is taking place at. For the team, I can include, if I want to, Emerson Elementary 4th grade, for example, or perhaps it's district-wide 4th grade. The meeting location, where are we at? We're in somebody's classroom. And which members are attending, and this is just simply a place where you can record any teachers that happen to be at your grade level team meeting. At every meeting, the idea is to build a collaborative culture by reviewing team norms and sharing celebrations. So there is a place to record celebrations if you happen to have something to place in there for that particular week. So for example, perhaps students met the goal of 80% of our students would be proficient on the grade level benchmark test, for example. One possibility. From there, the team meeting purpose is determined by the teachers who are involved in the meeting. And everything on this form is centered around the 5 guiding questions that we have. Our basic 4 guiding questions, which on our form are questions 1, 2, 4, and 5, are from the Do-Fors. And Do-For, Acre, from the professional learning communities of Solution Tree. And those are the 4 basic questions that they have spelled out in their work with professional learning communities around the country. Now we added one question at Indianola, which is question 3, how will we teach it? Because we believe that through our work with authentic intellectual work and other initiatives that the process of teaching is another really important piece that also should be addressed during professional learning community time. So on Wednesday afternoons, anything that is completed in team meeting time would revolve around one of these 5 areas. Now here's where this particular form can be especially helpful. You'll notice that each of these areas in blue are all hyperlinked, and when I mouse over one it says click plus or control plus click to follow link. What that means is all of these blue headings are all hyperlinked to another folder that will open up to allow you to get information that you might need to complete your work. So for example, let's look at 1B. It says determine essential learning targets and translate to student-friendly language. For example, I can statements. So if I want to complete that work with my team, but I'm not sure exactly how to go about that or what that looks like, then if I push down on the control button and at the same time use the left mouse button to click on the link, it will open up another folder from the server that then has lots of different possible tools that could be used in that work. So you can see here we have things separated out into different categories. There's protocols, tools, and artifacts. Now a protocol is basically the agreed upon way that something would be done. So here it says protocol 1B. So if I click on protocol, that's going to open up another document which gives me information about how this work has been accomplished with other teams in the past and what is probably the most efficient and effective way to accomplish it with future teams going forward into the future. So you can see this is a 3-page document which gives information about step by step what would we do. Now within, if I click again, you will notice there's also something that is called a tool. And a tool is something that is meant to be of help to your team as you're working. So the protocol is this is generally how things are done. This is the way that it needs to be accomplished. A tool is something to help you in that work if you're not sure how to go about that. So they're really just supports that are there for teams who need them. For example, let's say that you're trying to create your I can statements and you're not sure how to go about that. This is an article by Bill Ferreter, which is from a blog post that helps to give information about how you might go about that. It tells how he did this in his own classroom, the steps he went through, the thinking that took place, and so it gives a context for that work of trying to come up with an I can statement. Why do we do it? What does it look like? What's the benefit for students? Why is it worth the amount of time that it's going to take to accomplish this? So there are a number of different tools within that folder which can help you in that work. And then finally you'll notice that there's another section which says artifact up here at the top. So an artifact is something that needs to be turned in from your grade level team or your departmental team. And in this case the artifact is the Iowa Core Overview. Now this document is a way for us to create a common way of looking at the Iowa Core, how it's implemented at each grade level, what the most essential parts of it at each grade level are, what we've called our essentials, and then what the I can statements are for students. So how do we translate that language into something that students and parents can understand? Because we know that the standards are pretty dense and have a lot of technical verbiage in there which can be challenging for students and parents. Grade levels and departmental teams will put their information into this particular form. So you can see there is a spot for each of the standards within the Iowa Core, and then there is a place for the text of that standard to be entered into the document. There's a place to put a check mark if this is an essential learning. That means it basically is what some people call a power standard, or the idea that all students will be held accountable and commonly assessed on this particular skill before the end of the year. There's a place for the student I can statements. So what does that mean in student-friendly language? A place to think about where is it a major focus in our curriculum. So where do we accomplish this? Where do we teach it? Where is it something that we come back to again in the future? And then a place where we can put down how do we assess this? What assessments do we use? Do we have any screening assessments, formal assessments, common assessments, formative, end of unit or end of quarter assessments which might be used to help monitor this particular standard. Each of these blue areas then in each of these questions is hyperlinked to folders with that information. You can see that question 4 says, how will we respond when some students don't know it? And within question 4, in those hyperlinks are several documents that can be used to create and monitor interventions for students in reading, math, or other curricular areas. And there are also some example documents in there, some sample intervention forms to help with the process of putting that together and filling that out. You'll also notice question 5 talks about how will we extend and enrich the learning for students who have demonstrated proficiency. That work has begun and it will continue, where we are thinking about then not only intervening for students at who need additional support to meet grade level goals, but how we can take students who have already mastered grade level goals and move them further along in their own learning. And so there are some documents, tools, templates in question 5 which are hyperlinked to help with that work as well. Within question 2, how will we know if each student has learned it? There are a number of tools which are available to help with examination of student data. And there's no one right or wrong tool which is really better than another, but there are several examples in there and several possibilities to help your team look at data either from Data Director or IO assessment or even classroom collected data like exit slips, which can be used to inform your instruction and give you a lot of good information as well. So all of those pieces are available for your use. At the bottom of the page is a place for the team to record what are our action steps, what's going to happen next as a result of this meeting that we had, who's going to be the person that is responsible for helping to carry that out, what timeline do we have, so by what point do we want to accomplish this particular task, and is there anything that is needed in order to do that. It is not an expectation that all of the columns and rows are filled in. It just provides a framework for keeping track of information so things aren't forgotten from one week to the next. At the bottom, again, I can click on next meeting and choose when my next meeting is going to occur. Perhaps it's going to occur the next week. Where is the meeting going to happen? And what will happen at the next meeting? What question are we going to be working on? It could just be a continuation of today's work. Finally, there's a place to put down, is there anybody else we want to invite to the meeting that we want to have come next week? Is there somebody who's responsible for inviting that person so that they know they need to be there? And then is there any additional information that needs to be provided about the next meeting, like a change in location, or maybe it's being held off-site for a special training or something like that that would need to be noted so that people would have that for the next week. Finally, determine who's going to do the particular team roles in the next week, and if there are any notes that need to be taken about the work that was done that day, they can be placed at the bottom. Hopefully this tool will prove to be very helpful to you in your teamwork this year as you work through professional learning communities. If you have any questions, you can contact your building principal, the curriculum director, or any of the instructional coaches for additional help with how to use this in your team. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.